Now, the first way to avoid getting scammed with Zelle is to understand that you never have to send money to anybody to then be able to have the ability for them to send money back to you. So there's never a case where they can't send money to you until you send something to them. That's complete BS. Now, if for any reason you wanted to send money to somebody to verify that it's them or just to kind of like test something out, sure, go ahead and send like $1 or whatever, but never send anything in large quantities to somebody to then unlock it for them to send money to you. That is first and foremost. Now, another really big thing when it comes to not getting scammed with using Zelle is to make sure that you're doing business with somebody that you either know or that is actually somebody in person. So I would never recommend you use Zelle if it's not somebody you know or somebody that is a actual business that's not in person. So if you're trying to buy something online and that person's asking you to send a Zelle, I would completely avoid that personally and use a different form of payment method because that is going to be way too risky. Now, speaking of having it be sent to somebody that maybe can be a scam, keep in mind that you cannot request money back from Zelle if you send money to somebody and it does happen to be a scam. So keep that in mind. They do send you additional warnings when you try to send money to somebody you don't know or that hasn't been in your contacts prior, that is money that you are potentially risking. Just as if you were sending a check to somebody or handing them cash, that is going to be risk for you because obviously somebody can run away or do something else with it. So again, be very cautious using Zelle outside of anybody that's friends or family or in an actual place of business. So if a physical location is using Zelle, I would probably be very comfortable with that. But if it was somebody online, I would again completely avoid that. Now, if for some reason you did have to send money to somebody for any reason and you didn't know them, one thing you can actually do is have them request the funds instead of you sending it to them. So in case they're like, oh, I didn't receive it or never got payment, but you sent it to the information, because sometimes that can be a little risky if you accidentally type in the wrong phone number or email address. So what you can do is actually have them request that money from you based off of whatever information you have on Zelle, whether it's your phone number or email. So that way that request can come through and then you can choose to pay it directly from Zelle. But again, be very cautious with that if it's not somebody you know. Now, this one might seem a little obvious, but it is prevalent on YouTube comments and even Instagram comments. Never believe anybody that says, hey, if you send me X amount of money, I will send you X amount of money back. Those are always going to be scams through and through. Never end up doing anything like that. And then again, just be very cautious when it comes to typing in information for people when it comes to sending them the money, because again, once you send that money, you're not going to be able to retrieve that money back at any means. Now, a common scam that I've seen before as well too is if you're trying to send a large amount of money to somebody else, again, for products or services, and if they are trying to tell you that they're going to have to up the limit by sending you a text message or an email, and then having you send confirmation information. That is not going to be the case. If anything, they're just probably trying to get your bank information because there are going to be limits on using Zelle, which is $2,500 in a given day through Zelle, as well as $10,000 for the month. And you can actually not increase those limits. So the bank's not going to reach out to you about increasing those limits or sending any additional confirmations beyond what the bank is going to show you in the process of actually sending that money out. So if you're getting text messages or emails saying that, hey, they're trying to increase the limit or send more money, contact us, that's not going to actually be true. So I would avoid that for sure. Another scam that I've seen as well too is for potential job offers. If you're trying to apply for a job and they ask you to Zelle them any money, I've personally never heard of an actual real job where you have to pay for the ability to actually get the job. So I would definitely avoid anything in that aspect. I don't believe any legitimate company would utilize Zelle as a means to acquire any income to then you be able to start working for them. So avoid that at any cost. So if for any reason you're trying to send money and your bank actually needs to send you an authorization code, and anybody on the phone that you might be talking to or the person you're trying to send money to is asking for that code, always completely avoid sending that information out. It actually usually tells you in those messages to never share those codes. So never ever give out any codes that you might get from your bank when it comes to authorizing your actual transfer, because that actually potentially gives scammers access to your bank on their end, which then gives them access to the entire account beyond just getting Zelle.